Hello, lovely people. It's Brianna here with a tip for you today. I would like to tease out a topic that I've been thinking about for a while now, which is how to distinguish between one's patterns and their intuition. Anyone who's been doing this personal growth stuff for a while knows that it sounds simple, but it's not always quite so easy to tell the difference between these two things. And who knows, maybe you're like, what the hell is a pattern? What is intuition? I don't even know. So, um, either boat you're in, hopefully this video will give you a good place to start. I'd like to make three main distinctions to help. First, let's talk about what a pattern is. A pattern is basically the culmination of everything we've learned. It's like our past experiences, what we took away from those experiences that guide our actions on a day-to-day basis to keep us very safe and also to get our needs met. As humans, this is kind of how we're motivated. Lots of people have talked about this, people in my college textbooks to people that I'm watching videos on YouTube of today. We function to stay safe, we function to get our needs met, and our patterns are what we've developed to help us do this. Which is sometimes a good thing, it's an efficient thing, but unfortunately, sometimes it gets us stuck in a place where we don't necessarily want to be, or it gets us in a place where we're getting our needs met on a very basic fundamental level, but it's leaving something to be desired. Maybe we're getting our needs met in a little bit of a dysfunctional way. Maybe we don't even see it. But basically, our patterns, a good indication that you're acting in a pattern is if you're not really sure that you're doing it at all. It's kind of your reaction. It's your automatic response, as if you're going on autopilot. It's those reactions when a situation gets tense and you feel like you lose control of your words. You don't feel in control of your response, and you're not quite sure what happened. That's a really good sign that maybe you were getting close to breaking a pattern a little bit, or something happened that is like smack dab in your pattern in the roughest part of it, and you're just kind of going off on autopilot and reacting to it. That's a good indication that you're in a pattern. Now let's talk about what intuition is, on the other hand. So intuition is really connecting to that wisest part of yourself. It's when you clear all of that pattern junk away and you're left with basic fundamental truths that are just true. You feel them in your bones to be ultimate truth, and it's the wisest part of you. It's driven by your purpose. It's driven towards fulfillment. It's picturing the life that you want, that you crave. It's like that hopeful stuff, the stuff that motivates and really drives you to achieve more, to do more, your intuition, and not always to do more, but to really fulfill what you're here on this earth to do, and also to be happy. Your intuition, it comes from a very hopeful, expansive, love-based place, whereas patterns tend to come from a fear-based place. But that brings me to point number 3, which is I think where people get a little bit confused. It's definitely where I've gotten a little bit confused. And it's on this point that fear is kind of involved in both. So I've heard a lot of people say that, fear is how you tell the difference. If it feels like you're acting based on fear, then you're probably acting in a pattern, whereas if you're acting out of love, then that's your intuition. And on some level, I get that. I buy that. But I think it misses an important point that sometimes acting on your intuition feels really scary. And that's when it can get hard to tell the difference between the two, because the fear response that you physically feel in your body feels the same for either one. Whether it's that you're tripping on a pattern or whether it's that you're acting on your intuition, the fear feels the same and you're like, what the heck is going on here? So really, the best way to distinguish between these two things, it's going to take practice. That's something to really keep in mind. But practice is perfect. And the best place to start is by building awareness. So your action step for today is to really start looking. When you get those trip moments where you feel like a switch was flipped and you've kind of gone into autopilot and started reacting rather than responding, notice that. Notice what set that off. Because when you went into autopilot, it's a really good, I'd stake my bets on the fact that you've gone into a pattern there. And the best way to start seeing what that pattern looks like is to recognize what those things are that are kind of sending you into it. What things are making you react versus calmly respond. And once you kind of start looking at that, you can notice, what are my general patterns that impact me over time? Like, what things are really upsetting for me? What things do I want to protect myself from? You know, once you start to see those patterns take place, it's a lot easier to distinguish what's the pattern and what's the intuition, because you're familiar with it. You know what your pattern is, you know when you're acting in your pattern because you've studied it, you know what it is, and you also know the vibe of your intuition, you know how to check into it. And any more than that, it's really managing your physical fear response. In my opinion, learning how to manage that really strong fear response so that you can distinguish between these two in the moment and act accordingly. And if that's if that's like a challenging thing for you to do, I really highly encourage you to call me, email me, message me. Let's set up a time to talk and see if I can help. Because, sometimes these big patterns, the ones that are really long standing, they're hard to see ourselves because, like, you can't see the painting when you're in the painting, right? You can see it when you step outside and look. That's what a coach and accountability does for you. But together we might be able to bust through those big patterns that are holding you back from the life that you want. I would really love to talk with you about it and see if I can help. And hopefully this video was help. Again, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.